afraid of the dark.
It was the summer of 1995, and fresh out of high school, I embarked on a spontaneous road trip to New Orleans with an old friend. With a modest $140 in our pockets, we set off, only to quickly change course and find ourselves in Magnolia, Mississippi, seeking a good night's rest. The Magnolia Inn, though unremarkable, offered a welcome respite from the southern heat. We spent the night indulging in poker, Gordon's vodka, and carefree conversation. The next day, on a whim, we decided to venture into Texas. With a road atlas in hand, we made our way to Marshall, a town just across the border from Shreveport. We contacted another friend, our intended host, whose mother, along with mine, had been searching for us. Unbothered by the mild concern, we planned to return home within a couple of days. Marshall charmed us with its quaintness and the allure of the Fire Ant Festival. After a pit stop for some mouth-watering pulled pork and a refreshing drink, we charted our course, backtracking a bit to explore the areas around Route 43, Karnak, and the enchanting Caddo Lake. As dusk settled, we navigated the dimly lit Highway 43, cruising at a sensible 45 mph. The road ahead was a serpentine adventure, winding through hills and curves, accompanied by the mysterious glow of eyes on either side. The night buzzed with the sounds of crickets and bullfrogs, while the heavy humidity carried the sense of pastures, hay, and swamp. Time seemed to stretch as we drove, and it was well after midnight when a sign welcomed us to Bivens, the next sizable town. I found myself transfixed by the yellow road lines, the fatigue of the journey setting in. Breaking the silence, I cracked open the window, lit a cigarette, and let the music from the radio fill the car. In the periphery of my vision, something caught my attention. A shadowy figure was keeping pace with our car, its massive arm and tangled, ruddy brown hair just outside my window. I instinctively rolled up the window and glanced at my friend, who, with a clenched jaw, accelerated. As we sped up, the creature's arm remained in view, its muscles and tendons visibly straining beneath the matted hair. Then, the hand came into focus, a colossal fist, the size of a large cantaloupe, covered in dark, stained hair. The fingers uncurled, revealing claws black, sharp, and unmistakably animalistic. This was no ordinary hand, it was a weapon of death, belonging to a creature born to kill and devour. I broke the tense silence, my voice trem. "Hey, do you?" my friend interrupted, his voice steady. "I see it. I've been seeing it. I can barely see you. But that thing is clear as day." I urged him to speed up, and as we reached 55 mph, the pursuer began to fall behind. Curiosity got the better of me, and I glanced to my right, a decision I'd come to regret. The creature was massive, its chest level with the top of our car, covered in that eerie, reddish-brown hair. Then it happened. The creature leaned forward, revealing its face, a visage that shattered all sense of reality. Its eyes, black pits with red pupils, glared at us with ravenous hunger. It snarled, baring yellow teeth dripping with saliva. As it opened its mouth wide, the car surged forward, my friend's foot heavy on the accelerator. The rising sun and the straightening road offered a sense of relief. We drove in silence through Bivens, Texarkana, and eventually back home. For 11 years, we kept this encounter locked away, too surreal to share. But eventually I found myself retelling this tale, first to a woman by a gravel road and later to captivated kids around a campfire. I've only now admitted to seeing the creature's face, a vision that haunts me to this day. It's an experience that defies logic, and I challenge anyone to hear this story and not believe in the unexplained mysteries that lurk in our world. 6 years have passed, yet the memory of that night remains unsolved, a haunting enigma. As an adult woman who relishes nocturnal strolls, I've always felt a certain fearlessness in well-populated areas. However, the northernmost regions of my state are known for their chilling tales, be it paranormal occurrences or the sinister actions of humans that go unreported. My stature, thankfully, often deters potential threats, allowing me to wander confidently in the dark when sleep evades me. During a visit to my then-boyfriend, a law enforcement officer working the midnight shift, I found myself restless, drawn to the tranquility of his small town, a welcome contrast to my bustling, tourist-filled coastal home. Unable to sleep, I ventured out for some stargazing by the lake, carefully navigating the main street to avoid the unpredictable moose during mating season, their dark eyes offering no warning in the night. As I passed a familiar house in the town center, a chilling sound froze me in my tracks. A screeching growl, unlike anything I'd heard before, emanated from the backyard. I caught a glimpse of movement, and then from the darkness, the sound repeated, a chilling prelude to the emergence of a figure. It was the size of an average man, but its every movement was unsettling, as if its body had been torn apart and hastily stitched back together. The figure began to giggle, a sound that sent shivers down my spine. I called out, my voice trembling, "What the hell are you on?" Bath salts, I continued walking, hoping to leave this bizarre encounter behind. But as soon as I turned, the figure sprinted towards me with alarming speed. I reacted instinctively, reaching for my switchblade, only to see the figure abruptly stop, as if it had collided with an invisible barrier. Intrigued despite the danger, I stood my ground, observing the figure twitching and breathing heavily in the moonlit shadows. In a moment of bravado, I pointed and laughed, a decision I instantly regretted. I hurried home, sticking to moonlit paths, my mind racing with possibilities. Was this a mere junkie, high and incoherent? Or could it have been a skinwalker, despite being outside their known territory? Regardless, that night remains etched in my memory as the creepiest encounter I've ever experienced. My grandfather, a resident of Mighton, Utah, often shared tales of skinwalkers, mysterious beings capable of assuming the form of any animal or person. Intrigued, I asked him if he had ever encountered one, to which he revealed a chilling story from his youth. He spoke of a valley, a place where life seemed to be forbidden, even to crows, the harbingers of death. It was here that my grandfather, in a bold act of defiance, ventured to disprove the legends. He described driving his old red truck into the valley, where the grass appeared scorched yet alive, and the trees stood lifeless but alive. In the distance, an old house with a caved-in roof and a missing door beckoned. As he approached, he noticed strange markings on its walls and animal skeletons scattered as if in a sacred burial ground. Then, a voice, that of his long-deceased grandmother, called out to him. The spirits, he said, wanted his life, his skin, his blood, and his soul. These were the skinwalkers, shapeshifters who could transform from man to beast. They chased and terrorized him, vowing never to forget his intrusion. Over the years, I witnessed the aftermath of these encounters: new possessions broken, animals harmed. My grandfather's dog was kept indoors, protected from the unseen threat. I once accused him of fabricating these tales, challenging him to prove their truth. In response, he revealed his back, scarred with wide claw marks, too large in space to be human. I was devastated, and my mother, rushing in, scolded my grandfather as she comforted me. But as I glanced over her shoulder, I saw a large black dog with white eyes, staring intently at my grandfather. It never attacked, and I never saw it again. My grandfather passed away 2 months later, officially from heart failure, but I knew the skinwalkers had claimed him. His arm bore fresh claw marks, a silent testament to the truth of his stories. This experience taught me a crucial lesson: never look a skinwalker in the eyes, for they will mark you forever. If you find yourself facing one, know that it's a battle of life and death, a test of your will against their ancient power. In the early 1980s, my father shared a remarkable story with me, an encounter he believed involved a skinwalker. It was late fall, before I was born, and my sister had visited my parents, traveling from Toronto. Her car broke down around 9 p.m., fortunately near a family friend's house, where she was allowed to use the phone. My father came to her rescue, and she decided to spend the night at my parents' place, planning to return home in the morning. As they drove through a densely wooded area a little after 10 p.m., a piercing, inhuman scream shattered the night, momentarily drowning out all other sounds. My father slammed on the brakes, and they exchanged bewildered glances. Suddenly, at the edge of the headlights, a creature emerged, a coyote, standing over 7 feet tall on its hind legs, with a striking black and white striped tail. It casually strolled across the road in front of the car. As soon as the creature disappeared into the darkness, the blood-curdling scream echoed again, louder this time. My father, unnerved, accelerated, eager to leave this mysterious creature behind. This encounter left a lasting impression, fueling my curiosity about the supernatural and the legends of skinwalkers.